welcome everybody to another episode of Journey of an Entrepreneur, where I bring on a wonderful guest from a different industry and from all over the world. Today we have Juma Bannister. Some of you may know him, some of you may not, but we're going to get into his story. And I am excited. We're going to be talking about how to create content that helps you get seen. This is what he helps you with. He is the co-founder, creative director. He also has a show called Useful Content Creation. He's the host. He also has a Facebook community, which I encourage you to join. Why? Because he's always providing such useful tips and tricks. And let's get into Juma's story. Juma, thank you for being here this morning.
Oh, it's great to be here, Shri. And thanks for inviting me on. I appreciate it. And I'll be happy to share a bit of my journey with the people today. Yeah, it should be good.
I'm already wondering, so the Sandwich King, do you have sandwiches for us? Because I would love to have one.
Oh, Gary. That's Gary from out of the UK.
Okay. So I want to ask you, Juma, when was the first time that you picked up a camera and you started creating content with it?
All right, so that's a long time ago, but I could tell you the first camera that I bought. The first camera that I bought was back in 2004. That was a different life back then. I wasn't married yet. And one of my friends had a 3.2 megapixel Canon camera. And she said it was too complicated. And I had to just take some transport and go all the way down to the southern part of my country to pick it up. At the time, I couldn't even afford it because it was too much money for me to pay. So she agreed that I would get the camera and I will pay her later for it, which I did like a year later. But that was like my first camera that I had, a little tiny, at that time phones weren't so good with taking pictures. So having a point and shoot camera was a thing. And so I was able to take that and start taking pictures of everything. And you know how that goes. You take pictures of the sky, of flowers, of your legs, or whatever you have available, of pets. And that was kind of my first foray into creating content with photography.
I loved how you said you take pictures of whatever you have, legs, flowers, the sky, whatever is there. I love that. When you first started shooting, was it really easy for you or did it take time?
It definitely took time to develop. I started in photography really strongly first, but it took time to develop the visual skill. I've always been like into art and graphics and stuff like that. That was like my thing from way back when. But in terms of just developing the visual skill of photography, that took time. It took time to know how to compose things. It took time to know how to really communicate through images, and it wasn't just instant at all. It was just a lot of shooting and creating content. Actually, just this week, I was going over some of my early content that I had created back in the days when I had that tiny camera, and I'm looking at it and it's been like, "Wow, my goodness, I've come a very long way." So it did take time to develop the skill.
And I really wanted to bring that up because we think that like, if you know Juma, you're like, man, this dude just overnight, here he is, he knows what he's doing. But as you can see, everything takes time. When did you realize that you could take what you're doing right now, and turn it into a business?
All right, so I kind of like after I got my first camera, and I began to use it, I really had not planned at all to go into business full time. But I think during the period when I got a job at a technology company in 2004, that is when I really started to kind of take pictures of everyone, the employees, every little event that they had. I would take pictures and I would just go around just doing stuff in the company, like just as the company photographer. Even though I had not been assigned that portfolio, by the way, I was just taking pictures of everything. And it was in that process, I had a really excellent boss. He's still a great guy. He really encouraged me and said, you know what, you can't be you kind of was saying that you're developing in a particular direction and you can't be in two places at once. That's like career schizophrenia. You're going to have to make a choice after a while. And he was fine with me developing into the area I was developing. And he encouraged me. As a matter of fact, uh, after getting really good at photography or fairly good at photography, I shot his daughter's wedding, his son's wedding, and then shot his wedding subsequent to that. So he was really one of the big catalysts for me developing in the way I did. So it was around 2006, 2000 when I started officially registered the company and got into photography really strongly.
So here we are. You were just doing it, and the next thing you know, you turned it into a business. We already got a lot of light bulbs going into the chat. And I kind of want to give a little bit of a background for those who don't know. What is the story behind the light bulbs?
Right. So okay, so that's a good question because people what wonder why. So let me tell you what happened with the light bulbs real quick. So I realized that when I was looking at starting my live stream, I hadn't done any live streams on LinkedIn just yet. I was looking at starting my live stream. People would use emojis and icons for particular things. Like some people say, put a fire in the comments, put a this in the comments, and I was like saying, well, everybody's putting fire, everybody's putting smiley faces. What can I do? What icon can I have that is aligned with what I do? Because I love lighting and I create content that is video, photography, stuff like that. And that has to do with light. And what do we like to do? We like to shed light on things, allow people to see things better. What icon can we use for that? And I came upon the light bulb. Hence, I have this light bulb right here as well. And I said, you know what? We're gonna make this a thing in the community. We're gonna claim the light bulb emoji as our own. We're gonna put our flag down. It's ours. And so at the beginning of every live show, I tell people throw their light bulbs up. Hashtag. Well, you know my hashtag. And that's why people are in the comments throwing light bulbs up because that's what we do across at on our live streams when we do it. So thanks everybody who's doing that right now.
Yes, we appreciate you. And I want to give a shout out to you. This is Robert Berry, who's saying how you have been extremely helpful to him personally. He still has a lot of work to do, but I see progress. Much of that is due to Juma's useful content. And I believe it too. There are certain things that I do, even just the conversation we had prior to getting onto this live, did it come to, bring back some things that I need to refocus, which is what this show is for today about.
Yeah.
We're creating content, but are we really getting seen? And so,
Mhm.
I want to make sure if anybody has questions, feel free to go ahead and drop them. But what is useful content?
Okay, what is useful content? So useful content has a pretty easy definition. So, but I think we should start in the purpose of content first of all, so we can define useful content. So, for me, the purpose of content is to build relationships, right? So we have companies building relationships with customers and clients, and we have clients building relationships with companies, and it's a two-way street. So the thing about relationships is that relationships are done for the benefit of both people. It's supposed to be mutual. So when we're talking about useful content, we are talking about content that would help the company accomplish its business goals. And we are talking about content that would help customers or clients accomplish their own personal goals. So it's a two-way street of sorts. It's a conversation that happens that helps to build a relationship. And so the type of content that you want to share, if you want to share useful content, are things that will improve the lives of the people that listen to it, which mostly falls into the educational area of content. Now, of course, there's edutainment, which is entertainment and education. You may want to do something that is inspirational and educational at the same time. But at its very core, you're helping people accomplish their goals. You're helping customers and clients reach to where they want to be, whatever their future state of life is. And of course, the business gets benefit from it as well by the customers helping them to accomplish their business goals. So useful content enables that conversation, enables relationship, and enables customers and businesses to accomplish their goals.
So, when you're creating content, what are 5 things that we should keep in mind? Or is there more? But what are some things we should keep in mind when creating that content besides what you just shared?
All right, so well, I shared some of this with you before, I'll share it now. That 5 things that people should really be aware of when they are creating content. And this is just in general on social media, things people should keep in mind. So there are five things. So the first thing is, who am I? That's the question you have to ask. Who am I? What are my values? What is the basis of my character? What are my personal goals? What do I want to accomplish personally? Everybody has personal goals. Everybody has personal things they want to accomplish. Some people's goals may vary to other people, but the main thing is that you have to know the thing that drives you. So, for example, I have two daughters. One of the things I want to see is them go to university, them grow up, them be successful, and be successful in whatever area that they choose for their career. That's one of my personal things that I want to happen. That is who am I. That's part of who am I. I want my family to be stable. That's part of who I am. And that will be your base, your foundation for how you go out there and share yourself with the world and create content. The second thing you want to ask is, what do I want to be known for? What do I want to be known for? Yesterday, I was talking with some high school students and I was asking them about if they know Kabi Lame, the guy from TikTok. Everybody knows Kabi, right? And what does he do? What is he known for? And all of the students said he does this. He debunks stupid life hacks, and he does this. So Kabi is known for doing that. Kabi is known for debunking foolish life hacks. And I told them, what do you want to be known for? Do you want to be known as, like what Shrey is, a visibility coach, being known for making people visible on the platforms that they put out content on? Do you want to be known as somebody who helps people build their business with useful content? What do you want to be known for? What is the one sentence that people can say about you that is true, that they can tell to someone else and will still be true when they share that information? Easy to say, easy to repeat. What do you want to be known for? Major thing in putting on content. And so you put on content that aligns with what you want to be known for. The third thing is that, of course, you have to know who you're talking to. Who's the people who are going to benefit from the things that you're saying. And so sometimes we put out content which is general content, but if we want to have useful content for very specific people, we have to put out specific content. So who are the people who will benefit from your content? Who are the people who will buy from you? You have to ask those questions and put out content specifically for those people. Who are the people who you want to talk to? Of course, then you have to ask the question, how will those people benefit from the content that you're making? How will those people benefit from the content you're making? What is the future state of life for those people? What are they trying to accomplish in their own life that your content will help them achieve, right? So, for example, if you are somebody who puts out content that teaches people how to make meals cheaply, what you're doing, quick and cheap, what you're doing is that you are enabling someone who may be buying fast food, who maybe want to change the way they look at your health. You're enabling them to make meals quickly and cheaply so they can change their state of life from one that is consuming and spending money on a lot of fast food into someone who can cook for themselves and who can package lunch to take to work. They can have a healthier life, they save money and all those different things. So their future state is being accomplished by watching your content. And then the last thing, which I think really is the first and the biggest thing, but kind of ends up on your list last because of what it is. What are your long-term goals? Where do you want the business to go? Who do you want to be in 5 years, 10 years from now? You have your short-term goals, which will be fed by the tactical. And then you have your long-term goals, which is the strategic part of how you build out your content and where you want to be in the future. Obviously, as you go along, those things can be adjusted. But what you want to do, you want to start off with a sense of, this is where I want to end up 10 years from now. And these are the decisions that I have to make day to day, the tactical decisions in order to get to that point. And so those are the 5 things that I always tell people about content is, who are you? You need to know that that's your base. What do you want to be known for? Who are you talking to? How will they benefit from the content that you're giving them? And what are your long-term goals for this content that you're creating?
Mic drop. If you're not taking notes, you can definitely catch the replay. We're here with Juma, who's sharing tips on how to get your content seen. And right now we just went over 5 things to keep in mind when you're creating your content. Now, Robert has a question, which is a great question. He always loves to ask questions. How important is consistency in scenery? Your studio is memorable. The red shirt is consistent. How important is that?
I think it's quite important, but it also is dependent upon the type of of well, how do you want to be known? How do you want to appear? For some people, it's not possible. Like, for example, I know some people who do fitness coaching and they always have to be in a different area of a gym. So they can't really have the same background. But what they will do, they will appear in the same type of clothing, or they would open with the same statement, or they will close with the same statement, or they have a particular way or particular energy behind the way that they communicate. Your consistency doesn't necessarily have to be in the only the visuals. Your consistency can be in the way you communicate. Your consistency can be in the things that you tell people. But you have to find one thread that you could continue to walk along in order to make people know what to expect from you. Because a big part of how people get engaged with your content is based on expectation. If they expect to be entertained and educated, you can't come a day and just decide that you're not going to do that day. You have to carry people on a journey with you. And so I think like having this read and having the studio and making it memorable is what I do. But people can be memorable in other ways. People can be memorable in just their voice, how their voice. So my friend Dyer, he has a memorable voice in the way he communicates. His voice gets really low and he drawls sometimes, and he has a memorable voice. Some people may have a memorable face. Some people may have memorable mannerisms, right? I chose to be a little bit more overt with what I have. Everything I have is like red light, red shirt, red microphone cover, and that is how I have to appear in order for people to remember me. But there should be consistency in different aspects of how you create content, and so that people will remember you and know what to expect.
Mm. We have Beth who says she talks about when she wears her lipstick. She has this bright red lipstick, and when she
Mm,
doesn't wear it in her videos, that is something that I notice. At least I notice. I'll say, "Hey, where is it?" And I just want to say thank you everybody who's joined this live. I'm gonna ask you this question because some people may be wondering. Okay, now that I know what kind of content, what to keep in mind when putting out my content,
mhm.
what about the platform?
Right.
And like for example, some of you may be only on LinkedIn. You're not on TikTok, you're not on
Mhm.
Twitter, you're not on Instagram. How do you know when to make that shift and why should you make that shift?
Right. So it's always important to remember that at the end of the day, you have to know what the purpose of the content is, and it is to build relationships with the people who can help your business, who can buy from you, who can really give you the ability to build that life and that goal in the long term. Um, and so the major question you should really be asking yourself about any platform that you're going on to is that is this aligning with the goal that I want to accomplish? Is this really aligning with the people who I want to talk to? Are the people who I want to talk to on that particular platform? Now, it may be that you have another purpose for going on there. It may be that you're testing. It may be that there's a different segment that you want to talk to. So, for example, when I speak on LinkedIn, it's slightly different to how I speak on TikTok. And I was telling Shri before when we were talking that my crowd on LinkedIn is mostly solopreneurs and people who have small businesses and things like that, and even younger people who might be thinking about marketing and thinking about business. But when I come on LinkedIn, my voice is slightly different. I might be speaking to CEOs and I might be speaking to CMOs and those type of people in the content that I have here. But you have to know definitely who you want to be speaking to on each platform and if they actually exist there. And that's how you make the choice. Now, in addition to that, you have to know whether or not the content that you're creating for these platforms, whether or not moving it to another platform will continue to align, the content will align so that you don't have to make double effort in putting out content. And of course, we could go into a whole thing about repurposing content and all those different things. But the main thing is that the content, you don't want to make too much of a double effort in putting out content on multiple platforms. So the choice you make is really based upon your goals. The choice you make is really based upon your ability to continue to put out quality content across platforms. So if you look at a platform and you realize, well, this looks nice, but there's no way I can put out a video a day, 7 days a week on this platform, then you might want to just stick to what you're doing and build that out robustly first. And then at some point, when you have more bandwidth, more space, your systems are more developed, then you move to another platform. Because let me tell you, it is not easy, despite what people say. Regardless of if you have the automation, regardless of if you have systems in place, It is not easy. It takes effort on your part to maintain the stream of content that you're putting out there on whatever platform that you're on.
I agree. I mean, I'm on Instagram, I'm on TikTok, and I'm on LinkedIn, and I've kind of like started to focus a little bit more on Instagram, sorry, LinkedIn and TikTok, and I'm so close to hitting 1,000 followers. But but it is true. You can't be everywhere. You really do need to have a goal set in mind,
Yeah.
grow that out, and then move. I know that you may have covered this, but those who are joining us, I want to come back to a question that comes up a lot,
Mhm.
and that is, how do you create content that focuses more on the client and less on you? Because we get all of these tips on like bring your personal branding, talk about this, but how do you make it where it focuses on the client?
All right, so let's go back to the goals of your business. So you start in the goals of your business. Like for example, let's just suppose you want to sell, you want to sell, I don't know, 1,000 cars. You're a car salesman, and you want to sell 1,000 cars over the next 3 years, right? How you sell 1,000 cars is not by saying I have 1,000 cars for sale. That's not what you do, right? You have to focus on what do people want to know about the thing that I'm selling that is useful for them to them that will drive them in the direction of me being able to sell to them. So you don't just come out and say, I have this car for sale at this price. What you need to find out is what are people really struggling with in making a choice to purchase a car. What are some of the common things that people are struggling with in terms of making a purchase of a vehicle? Are they concerned with safety? Are they concerned with saving on gas? And I know gas is a big thing right now. Are they concerned with saving on gas? Are they concerned with the actual just overall crash rating of the car? What are the things that people actually want to know? And so what you do is that you begin to ask those questions, or you do your research. So you start in the customer first. So there's a couple of ways to do it. Um, it's kind of going to get technical. You could do things like review mining. You could do things like surveys. You could do things like looking at other people who are putting out that content and seeing what questions people are asking. But you really have to find out what do customers actually want, not what you think they want, but what customers actually want. And then you create the content that is centered around what their goals are. And again, we come back to useful content. So your goal might be to sell 1,000 cars, but you have to know what their goals are. And so the two-way street, the conversation, the relationship is formed so that you are able to now effectively give them that content so that they can reuse it. And when they see you as an authority, somebody who cares, somebody who is really speaking to their needs, then they are inclined to now come to you and say, well, I was thinking about buying this particular vehicle. And you are able to say, all right, I can help you with that. And so it moves people from a place of just looking for a thing, but now they are connecting with a person who can help them solve that problem and get them to this particular future state of life. And so you create content from that position.
What amazing tips we have here with Usamo. The legend is in the house. The moment you try to be everywhere, you will be nowhere.
Yeah.
Taking all the tips that you shared today will really help you be able to show up. And keep in mind those 5 things that Juma talked about during this show. If you didn't catch it, catch the replay. And also think about, who are you speaking to, that client? Why should they buy this house, or why should they buy this car? Why should they work with you? I encourage everybody to make sure that you just look up Juma Bannister, and you will be able to follow him on TikTok, Facebook, Instagram,
Mhm.
here on LinkedIn. But I also encourage you to join the Useful Content Community, which is his Facebook group. He goes live in there, he shares tips, and you can ask him questions there. He will see it. Like sometimes we feel like we miss things. He definitely answers them in the Facebook community group. I also want to say that I have a masterclass on June 25th where I'll share 5 tips to show up on camera. This masterclass is for those solopreneurs, those business professionals who are afraid to be in front of the camera and want to start gaining visibility to their brand and business. This is also for those who are showing up on video and
Mhm.
camera but are not consistent and want a little bit more of a push. This is for you to sign up. The link is in the the comments on my post. But I want to ask you a question, Juma, before we
Mhm.
end for the night. Looking back in your journey as an entrepreneur,
Mm.
what is the mindset that's helped you to get through the low points? Because I know that there are high points and they're great, but it's those low points that sometimes it could stop somebody from continuing.
Yeah, I definitely, on a personal level, it has to be my friends and my family. At the end of the day, when you log off, you come off of Facebook or you come off of Instagram or LinkedIn and stuff like that, you must have a life that you retreat into, a safe kind of place that you retreat into, that gives you life, that gives you stability. So I would definitely say, of course, I'm married, I have a wife, and I have really, 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 really great friends. Um, and I have a business partner as well, which she was shocked to find out when I mentioned it earlier. So I have a business partner as well who can help me with some of the decisions and the stressful things. And we often make decisions together. I am the primary leader, but it's a collaborative process to come to those decisions. And sometimes things don't go the way you want it to. You can really get dejected, sometimes even depressed, or sometimes even you don't know how to deal with certain things. But really talking about it to somebody who really really listen to you, and they might not have a solution, but really just airing those things out really does help. And if you need actual like technical help, it's always good to have somebody who can mentor you in doing those things. Like literally go get a mentor, like pay someone to tell you how to solve the problems, because sometimes you have problems you can't solve for yourself. No matter how you try, you can't solve it for yourself. You might look at YouTube videos, you might do a course, but you need someone to sit with who has nuanced thinking and who has gone through the problem before, to help you navigate the issue. And so me making it through the low times, and I've had a couple of times where things have not gone so well, is like reaching out to people who are mentoring me, reaching out to, finding my solace in family and finding my solace in friends, and sometimes just taking a break. Just take a break. You don't need to stress yourself over all the things all the time. The things will be there when you get back, right? And there's a funny thing that we say in Trinidad and Tobago. If you have a job and you die today, they're going to replace you tomorrow. It's like, yeah. So just take a break.
Mm.
You can't replace yourself. So you take a break if you need to take a break, and don't stress over that thing, too much.
I love that. You are replaceable. It's really crazy how that is, even in your own business. Elon Musk has been replaced quite a few times. And he says what you can't replace is those things that are around you, your family, your friends, your children. So make time for them, because yes,
Yeah.
this is what we do, but we do them for them. And so enjoy the time. I mean, if you're like me, my daughter will be 20 next month. I'm like, how did this happen? But it does happen. Time goes by fast. I just want to thank everybody who joined this live here on LinkedIn. I want to thank Juma. We're actually going to carry this conversation onto Instagram, so we encourage you to come and join us. I want to give a shout out to Gabe, who's out there putting the links to all of our profiles and asking and requesting everybody to follow us. And
Right.
again, if you're catching the replay to this point, and to those who caught this live to this point, you are the real one. So we're going to jump off of here and go on to Instagram. Hope you have a wonderful day, evening, wherever you are. Bye.